Hello everyone, my name is Caden Christofferson. I am going to give you insight on what it takes and how to do the job of an auto body technician and the tools used in the process. We're first going to start off with body work. First, starting off with body work, we're going to start off with panel repair. The very first step to making a repair on a car is to get down to the least aggressive way. When I mean least aggressive way, I mean the least damaging. Sometimes we can make a hot glue gun pull. This consists of cleaning the damaged area, putting hot glue on the pull tab or several tabs and let it cool to harden, then pull away. This method works for small dents that don't have a deep impact spot. On the serious end is the unfixable, or it'll be a lot easier to cut and replace the section of the car. It all depends on the severity of the damage, the price of the parts, the wait time of the parts, and the condition of a vehicle. When these factors are factored into the equation, it can either total a car or make an estimate for the body shop so they can start working on it. Obviously, there are other aspects too, but this is just a broken down way for simple panel repair. The most common way of panel repair is to take off the top layer of the clear coat, paint, primer, body filler, etc. to get down to the bare metal. We use a stick-on welder to connect rods to the metal and then use rods to pull out the metal to get as close as possible to its original shape. We then use what's called a hammer and a dolly set. This is an assorted set of hammers and metal pucks that will help move the metal into the correct orientation. In this day and age, we have to use a material called Bondo or body filler. This will fill imperfections and create a smooth surface after sanding is performed for the paint to lay onto. In the old days, around the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, the body panels of the cars were much thicker and could be ground down to have a smooth surface where filler was not needed. With the innovation of steel having the same strength as it did back then, to now having the same strength but being very much lighter due to its extreme thickness, this is why we must take precaution because of how thin the metal is. We have no room to waste metal, so we have filler to build up the low spots. Next point we're going to get into is a frame repair. This is still technically part of the bodywork aspect side of a body shop, but you're not working on the body of the vehicle, you're going to work underneath of the car. Frame repair is a work of art. We see less and less of frame repairs happening due to the complicated and expensive cars now. Frame repair was much easier when cars were all built on a frame. We call these body on frame. They were two separate pieces and therefore could be taken apart and swapped if need be. The process to frame repair is the same, but with the high tolerances of current manufacturers, the technology had to evolve. With today's tech, the frame can be measured down to the millimeter using a computer that will store that measurement in the point that is told to do so. The old ways used a metal tube with a measuring tape on it and would compare the distance between 2 points of the car. There are some problems here. The frame tech not using the right number on the right spot, the spots themselves could be out of alignment with the tech not knowing, or the ruler giving a bad read because it could have a slight bend in it. Having this position could result in a serious injury. The amount of force that a hydraulic puller arm or ram on a frame rack can pull up to 10 tons of force. If the connection between the rack and the vehicle slips or breaks, that is one fast piece of metal coming straight back from its position. Luckily, we have safety chains and gravity stops to reduce the risk of injury. It is the number one rule of the frame rack never to be behind a chain that has tension. Always be to the side of it. The chain will not kick sideways because the tension is in a linear force. Our next point we're going to move to is paint and refinishing. This is on a completely different side of the body shop. This works on just the paint and detailing aspects. Our first subpoint will be undercoats. And as an autobodytoolmart.com states that moisture cure urethane primer is the best undercoat to prevent rust and corrosion. Any type of undercoat is basically the bed for paint to lay on. It covers up the metal and has different additives and basically have superpowers. It can get rid of microscopic rust that is just about to form. It can make the uneven metal surface level again. This happens in the repair process due to the paint getting removed from the metal. As soon as the metal is in contact with water or air, it will start to corrode. The water and the air is what starts the process. Even the oils in your hand from touching the metal will start the corrosion or rust process. To prevent this from escalating, a primer called self-etching primer is applied before the real primer to create a bonding surface so the metal and primer will not lift. The self-etching primer will etch itself into the metal to get rid of the microscopic rust while creating a sticky surface for the primer. After spraying the top layers of primer, it must be sanded down smooth to create a level and sticky surface for the top coat/paint. This is because the primer has a rough texture that'll show through the paint and not give a good quality job. Also, with the sand scratches, the paint will have something to grab onto. This is why people say painting is all in the prep. Sure, there is some technique, but if you have a rough surface to spray on, it will result in a bad quality paint job no matter how good of a painter you are. Our next point is the top coats. As defined by CynicAcademy.com, top coats are what give the car the color, brightness, and effect. There are countless ways to make a car color. Down to the human eye, there are colors that may look the same, but are different. Colors can be different depending on what color is the base, the type of light, angle of viewing. All these can trick us into thinking the color may look different than it really is. The brightness is also called value. It can be determined by pearlescent, or known as metallic flake. The number of coats of metallic can alter color due to the flakes themselves. The flakes reflect light, making the colors lighter. The bigger the flakes, the lighter the color. In order to create an accurate paint match in the collision world today, we'll use cameras called a spectrophotometer. This technically is not a camera. It's a camera that measures the light, color, brightness, and effect by reflecting the light in 3 different angles, then reading the light being reflected back. The spectrophotometer gives a paint formula closest to it, and the paint technician is responsible to match the number of coats needed to make the colors appear the same. The impact of top coats are also how the cars are protected from the elements. The clear coat is there to protect the color from the harsh sunlight. If you left normal base coat out in the sun, it would fade much faster than the base coat that has the protective clear coat. Our next main point is under detailing. Our first subpoint is going to be washing. The main point for washing a car in body shops is clean the dirt and debris off a car to see the damage as it is. Also, when taking the car apart, the dirt and debris will not travel in the shop, getting the technician all dirty along with his workspace. However, there is more than one main point. The most important part of washing the car before the work starts on the car. When painting a car, the number one defect in the paint is dirt nibs sticking to the wet paint. When the paint is a few millimeters thin, the dirt will stick out like a sore thumb. One way to prevent this is to clean the car before it gets its work done to it. However, it is never a guarantee that every dirt speck is removed with the wash. The paint gun basically throws paint in a uniform pattern with compressed air. The air will pick up any dirt that it can stick to the paint. When a car does come in through, we want it to leave better than it came in, obviously. Part of that is not ruining it how it came in, and that's where the proper wash method comes in. As Avalon Kings describes it, the 2-bucket wash method. It states it uses a soapy water bucket and a clean water rinse bucket to remove contamination. Using a microfiber wash mitt is also essential to keeping dirt out from scratching the paint. When the buckets are set up, you foam up the car with a foam cannon to glide the surface dirt off. When you take your mitt from the soapy bucket and wash one panel at a time, then flip the mitt. It's also important to go in lines, not circles. Those cause swirl marks. Then take the mitt and rinse it in the clean bucket to remove the contamination and repeat the wash process, then rinse and dry. This 2-bucket method is important because it reduces the chance of swirl marks in the clear coat. Our next subpoint of detailing is under the polishing. Polishing in the automotive world can make or break a car's paint job. Basically, the car has a protective skin over the paint called clear coat. Like the stuff we talked about in the second main point, the clear coat is a soft material that can scratch. The scratches are what you can see when the car wash puts swirl marks in your car. Those can be buffed out, but it's not as easy as 1, 2, 3. First, we have to determine how deep the scratch is. If you can feel it with your fingernail, it's probably too deep to buff out. There are a few different ways to fix the deep scratches, but it's way too complicated to explain now. There can also be defects from the body shop if it's a brand new paint job. The clear coat is very sticky and dirt likes to stick in the clear coat while it's drying. Another common defect is clear coat running. At the end of the day, the clear coat is very thin and a liquid, so if too much is applied to an area where gravity is affected, it'll run. The process of removal for both of them is very similar. Mirka is a hand tool company that specializes in tools for the auto body and collision repair industry. In order to remove a dirt speck, they say to sand the work area down till the defect is gone and then use one of their polishers and compound. This will start to take away some of the bigger scratches in the clear coat from sanding. Then they recommend using a mid-grade compound. This is a middle abrasive between compound and polish. This will continue to break down the next level of scratches. The final step is to polish the area surrounding the work area along the work area. This will create a seamless repair, making it as level as possible. The process is the same exact way for a run, but instead of sanding, you can use a fresh razor blade and swipe the excess clear coat away until it's level. Then follow the same steps to achieve a seamless and a level clear coat. Once again, my name is Caden Christofferson, and that speech was just on the inside of what it takes and how to do the job of an auto body technician and the tools used in the process. Thank you.